First of all, I thank everyone for attending today's seminar. On behalf of Holy Makkah Tours, the directors and the management, I thank you all for coming here. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our coming and forgive all our shortcomings. And inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remove all the calamities or the obstacle lies ahead and make it easy for us for this blessed journey. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to fulfill our every right for the coming days, inshallah, and accept all our du'as, and may we follow the right way. All these instructions will be given by the group leaders later on, inshallah, throughout the journey. So without further delay, I'll like to call Sheikh Habibullah to come and do his valuable speech. Jazakumullah khairan. And we have, if any ladies would like to use the toilet, it's at the reception area for the ladies, and the gents' toilets in the hall on my right. And we have refreshment at the back for the ladies on the ladies' side, and for the men's on the men's side. So there's tea, coffee, and biscuits available. Please do enjoy the refreshment. And our Zohar break will be 1:30. Ladies will remain in the hall, and they will use the toilet in the hall, the wudu and the toilet in the hall, and the men should go in the masjid through that door behind me, and there's toilet wudu in there. So we expect all the brothers to leave the hall during the prayer time and leave the hall for the ladies.
نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. My dear respected brothers and sisters, Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen you all to visit His blessed house this year. This is indeed a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as we know, the Hujjaj, they are known as the guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only invites those people whom He likes. There are many times we hear incidents and stories that people have taken all the preparations, but unfortunately, due to whatever reason, they are unable to go for Hajj. There are many brothers and sisters last year who were unable to go because of visa problems. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen you all this year to go to His house, with his, become His special guests. Now I will inshallah today just briefly go over a few of the important masla masail, give you an overview of the process of the Hajj, inshallah. Just to make things refreshed in your mind. I am sure you all have studied books, etc., to make this journey as blessed as possible. So first of all, inshallah, I will narrate a few hadiths about the virtues of the Hajj. We have all heard these. So Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu says, Su'ila an-Nabiy sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ayyul a'mali afdalu. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was asked about which of the actions of a human being are the best and the most blessed. Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam replied, Imanun billahi wa rasulihi. That to have iman and faith in Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So that is the most important and the most blessed. So a person being a Muslim and a believer is the greatest blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything after that is a bonus. Qila thumma maza. Then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was asked, and what is the most blessed a'mal, action after that? Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam replied, Qala jihadun fi sabilillah. To strive in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So jihad here means all the meanings of jihad itself. When it's necessary to fight military jihad, and when there is no military jihad, to strive to better yourself as a human being. Then the Prophet ﷺ was asked, so after Iman and after jihad, what is the best action? Prophet ﷺ replied, Hajjum Mabrur, an accepted Hajj. So alhamdulillah, you have the opportunity to go and fulfill this action of Hajj, which has been described by the Prophet ﷺ as the best of actions. In another hadith, Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates, قال سمعت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول, that I heard the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم say, من حج لله فلم يرفث ولم يفسق رجع كيوم ولدته أمه, that whoever performs the Hajj, and while they are performing the Hajj, they do not engage any obscene act or any sinful act, they do not transgress the rules of Sharia, then they will return from the Hajj that is similar to the day when they were born, meaning that they will return sinless. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the ability, inshallah, to fulfill our Hajj in the correct manner so that we can gain these blessed rewards.
Amen.
Alhamdulillah, you're going for Hajj. Briefly, I will give you an overview of the Hajj and how we can perform the Hajj. So first of all, Hajj is of three types. So Hajj Ifrad is when a person goes for Hajj, puts on the Ihram, and inshallah I will explain later to you what we mean by Ihram. And with the one Ihram, they just do the Hajj. So they just go for the performance of the Hajj, and they stay in the Ihram before entering the Miqat all the way until they finish the Hajj. Second is Hajj Qiran, where you join the Umrah and Hajj together. So you wear the Ihram with the intention of performing Umrah and the Hajj. And the third one is Hajj Tamattu', which literally means to benefit. So you benefit by doing your Umrah with one Ihram and then becoming halal, and then you put in the Ihram for Hajj at a later date and then perform the Hajj with that. Yes. So this is the Hajj which most people do, and which is for us the most suitable as well. Because as you can imagine, to stay in the state of Ihram from before you enter the Miqat all the way until the 12th or 13th of Zul-Hijjah can be very difficult. So inshallah, the information I will be telling you today will be related to Hajj Tamattu', because this is the one which most people will perform. And inshallah, if anyone has any questions, then you can ask the scholars who will go with you, or if you have any other issues, you have, mashallah, very experienced Hajj guides going with you who have been going for many, many years. You can ask them and they will be there to guide you. So, Hajj Tamattu', like I said, is when you do the intention of putting on the Ihram first for the Umrah, and then you perform your Umrah and you become halal, and then on the 8th of Zul-Hijjah you put on the Ihram for Hajj. So Umrah is in Sharia means when you go to, when you pass the Miqat wearing the Ihram, to intention to do the Tawaf of the Baytullah, and to do Sa'i between Safa and Marwa, and to shave or trim the hair. So these four things are the necessary parts of Umrah. Putting on the Ihram, going with the intention of Umrah, doing the Sa'i, and then doing the Halaq, the shaving or the trimming of the hair. Okay? So now what is Ihram? So literally Ihram means to declare something unlawful upon yourself. So haram, we all know the meaning of haram, forbidden. So Ihram is from the root word harama, which means to make something unlawful on yourself. So in Sharia, it means making the things which are usually halal by wearing the Ihram, by becoming in the state of Ihram. That is a better description. A person becomes in a state of Ihram by doing certain things, not by just wearing the two pieces of white cloth. Okay. So Ihram is a state when a person wears the two pieces of cloth, makes the necessary intention, and recites the talbiyah, then a person becomes in ihram. Okay? So before we go further, where should you put on the ihram from? That is a question, an important question to bear in mind. I think you will be flying from different airports. Some people, mashallah, they want to wear the ihram from the house. Become in the state of ihram from the house. This can be very difficult. Say your flight gets delayed, something happens, then you have to be in the state of ihram all the time. So it's advisable that you come into the state of ihram if you have especially if you have a transfer somewhere or you have a stopover somewhere from that airport. Or you can wear the clothes of ihram, but don't make the intention of ihram until you are close to the miqat. Depending on which airlines you're flying, you could be going to Dubai or Egypt or somewhere else. So if you have a stopover, you'll have time to get into the ihram then, and then make the intention from there. And some planes, mashallah, will even tell you just before they approach the miqat. So to get into the state of ihram, it is sunnah to have ghusl, to do ghusl first, clean yourself, trim your nails, everything, put on some perfume, and then you start off by reading 2 rakat salah. Okay, so whether you do it at home or you do it at the airport, you do 2 rakat nafil salah. And it's sunnah to read Surah Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun in the first rakat and Qul Huwallahu Ahad in the second rakat. Okay, so you start off, you read this 2 rakat sunnah, and then after you've read your salah, you make the intention. Okay, so while you're reading the salah, you're not in state of ihram. So after you've done the salah, for the men, if you're wearing a hat, you remove your hat, and then you make the intention, Allahumma inni uridu al-umrata fayassirha li wa taqabbalha minni. Oh Allah, I make the intention for the umrah, so make it easy for me and accept it from me. Okay. Inshallah, this is a very short dua. We can memorize this. If we can't memorize it, then inshallah we can say it in our own words. Intention is what is in the heart. And if we just merely say it with our mouth without knowing what it means, then that is not the proper intention. So inshallah we need to understand what we are saying, that we need to get into the state of ihram. I am intending wearing this ihram to do the umrah, so please make it easy for me and accept it from me. So you've said the intention, and then the next step is very important. You have to recite the talbiyah. Talbiyah. So talbiyah is labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wan ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. So you have to recite this talbiyah 3 times after you made the intention, and when you have recited the talbiyah, that is when you are in the state of ihram. So you become into the state of ihram after you've recited the talbiyah. So it's very important that we recite this talbiyah, and this should be the dhikr on our lips as much as possible all the time until we arrive to do our umrah in Makkah Mukarramah. Whether we are sitting in the coach, we're waiting in the airport, we're on the aeroplane, every opportunity we get, we should be reciting this talbiyah. We're presenting ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are asking Him we are glorifying Him, and we are presenting ourselves, and we want Him to accept our journey and travel to the Baytullah. So this talbiyah we should be reciting as much as possible all throughout our journey, inshallah. Now once we are in the state of ihram, I'm sure you're all aware, there are certain things which we cannot do. Okay, so once you've made the intention of ihram and you read the talbiyah, you're in the state of ihram, it is not permissible to put in your hairs or nails or to comb the hair in such a manner that the hair falls out. Okay. And you cannot, men cannot cover their head. Okay, you have to make sure that your head is bare. Now, so for the men, the ihram is the 2 white pieces of cloth you have to wear. One for the upper part of the body and one for the lower part of the body. There shouldn't be any stitching on those clothes. And also the sandals, you have to make sure that the top of your foot is not covered and it is visible. Now for the sisters, their ihram is the normal clothes. They wear the normal clothes. The niqab or hijab, necessarily if they wear it, and they just make the intention and the talbiyah. So there's no extra separate clothes. Now they can wear any color clothes. It doesn't have to be white. Some ladies they'll make a special white set of clothes. They can do that, but it's not necessary. They can wear the normal clothes which are in accordance with the Sharia, which are loose, not tight fitting, and you just wear the normal clothes. Okay, and if the sisters wear niqab, then they have to make sure that the niqab doesn't touch their face while they're in the state of ihram. So what some sisters do is might wear a cap or something so the niqab doesn't fall directly onto their face. Okay, so while you are in the state of ihram, you are not allowed to use any fragrance. Okay, so now, mashallah, we all aware we can't use perfume, but we also have to be careful that we don't use scented soap. Like you see sometimes in the toilets at the airport or on the aeroplanes, they have scented soap or hand wash, so you can't use that. Or sometimes on the aeroplane, they might give you a hot towel to refresh yourself with, wipe your face after you've had a meal or something. Now, if that's scented, then you can't use that. So just be careful of these things, inshallah. So you can't use any perfumes and things like that. If you can wear, like if it's really, really cold, so you can maybe wear another ihram clothes, or you can wear a shawl, anything, something which is not for the men, which is not form fitting, so it doesn't have sleeves or anything if it gets cold. Sometimes in Medina Munawwara it can get quite cold, but now it'll be really, really hot in Makkah Mukarramah. So you can wear a like blanket or shawl or something just to save yourself from the cold. But make sure that your head doesn't get covered. So similarly, when you are sleeping as well, you need to make sure that your head doesn't get covered. So if for any reason, mashallah, you need to have a bath or a shower, refresh yourself, or any other reason, then you have to make sure that you do in such a manner that you don't vigorously wipe yourself so the hairs start to fall out. So just wet yourself slowly, tap yourself dry, so that any hairs don't fall out. Okay? And while you're in the state of ihram, mashallah, like we said in the hadith, فَلَمْ يَرْفُسْ وَلَمْ يَفْسُقْ, we should refrain from all kinds of activities which are sinful. Now, mashallah, obviously, there's a hadith as well, and there's a saying as well, isn't that you don't really know a person until you either traveled with them or you've lent them some money, you've had some money dealings with them. Then you really find out the character of a person, how good they are. So obviously, people, there's a group of 300 odd people living in close proximity, all with different attributes, different attitudes to things. Sometimes you will get friction and disagreements. So if any of these things happens, then we should bear in mind that we are in the state of ihram, we are the guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are therefore to perform Hajj and should walk away from the arguments. Then inshallah we will get the reward the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned. So we stay away from all kinds of arguments. If someone's saying an opinion which we don't like or disagree with, yeah, they're entitled to their opinion. We are there to perform our Hajj, pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He accepts our Hajj. Obviously, there are many people going from all parts of the world. Alhamdulillah, and this is one of the beauty of Islam, that we have different ways in doing different things. MashaAllah, the farais are all the same, but sometimes in the furu'at, in the smaller actions, we do things slightly differently. So there's no need to argue or anything. You sometimes, especially I think the sisters, when they go there, they'll see people praying differently. So that is perfectly fine. They can pray in the manner they are taught and they have learned. We pray in the manner we have been taught and we have learned. There's no need for disagreements into there. So once we have arrived at the airport, Jeddah airport, mashallah, it can take a bit of time to get through the immigration. So be prepared for that. It is getting better year by year, but you can sometimes be there for 7-8 hours. And mashallah, you might see that there's no one in front of you, and it's all empty, and the brothers are there having a chat, but they might be doing some other work while they're chatting. Okay, so no need to get frustrated. We stay with our groups, inshallah, follow their advice, and we'll get through eventually. And once you've got through immigration, mashallah, the coaches will take you to Makkah Mukarramah. Now, usually from Jeddah to Makkah, you can get there in 30 to 40 minutes. But during the season of Hajj, mashallah, they are transporting millions and millions of people. So it can again take time. It can take time. Sometimes it could be where a journey of 30 to 40 minutes can take 5 to 6 hours. So you have to have patience, inshallah. Hajj is all about patience. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing us how much patience we have. While we go through the actions of Hajj, I'll tell you, most of them are related to Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam and his family. And all the actions, Allah was testing them. Allah was testing them for their obedience and for their patience. So inshallah, we have to show our patience and obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. So once we've gone through the immigration, mashallah, we will be going to our hotels in Makkah. The hotel is very close, mashallah, from the haram. It's less than 5 minutes, isn't it? 10 minutes. He's been conservative. I'll say it's less than 5 minutes because I stayed there last year, mashallah. If there is no, if you go out early enough, you can get to the haram in 3-4 minutes, mashallah. So we go to Makkah Mukarramah, we put our belongings away, get refreshed if we need to, and then when our group leaders will tell us the time to go for Umrah. Either they'll take you as a part of a group, or I'm sure if any brothers or sisters have been there before and they know what to do, they can go themselves and perform the Umrah. So you're still in the state of Ihram at that time, so inshallah you go to the Masjid al-Haram. Okay? So once you've put your belongings away and you refresh yourself and you want to go to perform Umrah, mashallah, go and enter the Masjid al-Haram. When you enter the masjid, read the dua, Allahumma aftah li abwaba rahmatik, make the intention of i'tikaf. As long as we stay in the Masjid al-Haram, then inshallah, Baytullah, we are staying in there, making the intention of i'tikaf. So we get the extra reward as well. And one important thing to bear in mind, that during our journey of Hajj, each and every place is a place where du'as are accepted. Inshallah, these are blessed lands. It's a journey of a lifetime. It is really a journey of a lifetime. And one of the places and the times when dua is accepted is when a person sees the Kaaba Baytullah for the first time. So the first time when our sight falls upon the Kaaba, inshallah, we should stop and pause and make ourselves present in the front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and make dua, as much dua as we can. And this is the place and the time of dua. It's the land of dua. So when we see the Kaaba for the first time, inshallah, stop, make dua for everything, for ourselves, for our children, for our family, for our deceased members, for our community, for the whole Muslim Ummah. Whatever you need, whatever you desire, inshallah, make dua, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept. So we see the Kaaba for the first time, we make dua, then we walk down to the Mataf. Mataf is the area which is around the Kaaba. You can see, it's all in white marble. Now, it gets really, really busy. Sometimes it is really busy, it is packed out. So then you can do the tawaf inside the masjid going around. So obviously the further away you are from the Kaaba, the longer your circles will take. So especially for the women and sisters, you need to consider whether it is worthwhile or you want to go into this area where there's people jostling around, pushing and shoving. If there's not many people, yes, then you can go there and do your tawaf there. But it does literally get you're walking shoulder to shoulder and you're getting pushed left, right, and center. So you need to consider that whether it's feasible for you to go into the mataf to do your tawaf at that time, or should you do it on the outskirts, or should you do it inside the masjid, although it will take you a bit longer. Sometimes it's time-wise, it'll be quicker doing it in the empty masjid or where there's less people, because you can walk quicker. But rather than if you go right into where the Kaaba is, because then everyone's walking at a walking pace, literally a few steps a minute. So it could end up taking more time. It is short, the distance is shorter, obviously, but time-wise it could take longer. So we go to the mataf and we start our the tawaf from the Hajar al-Aswad. So there's some green lights you will see, green lights on the top, and there's usually a line on the marble as well, which shows this is where the Hajar al-Aswad is. Now, alhamdulillah, if you can get close to the Hajar al-Aswad to touch it, to kiss it, that's good. But if you can't, then you just start from wherever you can. Okay? So when you're there, you make the intention of tawaf. Allahumma inni uridu tawafa fayassirha li wa taqabbalha minni. Oh Allah, I intend for the tawaf, make it easy for me and accept it from me. Yeah, you can say it in your mind, make your intention with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you have to start. So when you start your tawaf when you're directly opposite Hajar al-Aswad. So you have to try and get in before the Hajar al-Aswad, because it goes anti-clockwise. So once you're in line with Hajar al-Aswad, it's virtually impossible to be close enough to touch it and kiss it. If you can't do that, then some people say, mashallah, I went for Hajj and I touched the Hajar al-Aswad and I kissed the Hajar al-Aswad 5 times and 10 times and whatever many times. Mashallah, it's good if you get the opportunity, but to touch the Hajar al-Aswad and to kiss it is mustahab, but if you're pushing and shoving people and hurting them, that is haram. So you don't want to commit a haram deed in commission of a mustahab deed. So inshallah we should be mindful of that. If the opportunity presents itself, maybe if you're sincere in your dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will see that when you least expect it, you'll have the opportunity to go and touch the Hajar al-Aswad. But Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu is famous saying that when he went for Hajj, he stood in front of the Hajar al-Aswad and he said, I know that you are nothing except a stone. You are nothing except a stone. You do not have any powers to do good or to do bad. The Hajar al-Aswad itself does not have any powers to do good or bad. Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu said that I only kissing you because the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did this action. This is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam action, and this is the only reason why I am doing it. The stone in itself does not have any powers for good or evil. So inshallah, if you get the opportunity, we should do it because this is a mustahab and sunnah of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But if you don't get the opportunity, inshallah, wherever we are, we stand there, we make the intention, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, and then we raise our hands towards the Hajar al-Aswad, and then we just kiss it like this. So that'll give us the equivalent reward of kissing the Hajar al-Aswad. Okay, so there's no need to rush and shove, push people out of the way, and just do that, inshallah. So when we're doing tawaf, the brothers will be wearing the 2 pieces of ihram. So while you're doing tawaf, you have to do what's called istiba. So that's where you leave the right shoulder bare, open. So you put your ihram over your left shoulder and under your right armpit. So this stays bare and open. And also during the first 3 rounds, if it's possible, you have to walk in a brisk manner, jogging manner if you can. But like I said, people are so close together, it's impossible to walk at a normal pace, never mind jog or run. But if you get the opportunity, inshallah, you should try and walk in a brisk manner. But the sisters, they walk in a normal manner. So this is only for the first 3 rounds of any tawaf you do, after which you have to do sa'i. So if you're doing Hajj, mashallah, after you've done your umrah, there's a few days you do tawaf. This is the sunnah of the Baytullah. So when we come to a masjid here, what do? We read 2 rakats of namaz, tahiyatul masjid, in reverence and respect of the masjid. So in Baytullah, the tahiyatul masjid is to do tawaf. So whenever we get the opportunity, inshallah, we do nafal tawafs. But in those, we don't have to do ramal, we don't have to do ijtiba because there's no sa'i after that. So every tawaf after which there is a sa'i, you have to do ramal if you can, and if you're in the ihram, you have to do ijtiba as well. So the first 3, you go around. Now, there are many people ask, what should we recite while we're going around the Kaaba? You should do any zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, quietly, not loudly and shouting. You're in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alimun bi zati sudur. He knows what is in each and every one of our hearts. So we do recite our du'as quietly, do the zikr quietly, recite the Quran, recite the Durood Sharif. MashaAllah, you will see there in books, you have got like the dua for the first tawaf, dua for the second tawaf. If you know them, MashaAllah, that's good. It's not good. I don't think it's advisable that while you're there, you're flicking through books, looking for the right dua, and you're wasting this opportunity to do the zikr and remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whatever dua comes to your mind, whatever you can recite, whatever zikr you can do, you do while you're going around the Kaaba. Now, the Hajar al-Aswad is one corner, and the corner before that is called Rukn Yamani. So the Hajar al-Aswad is this corner, this one is Rukn Yamani. So the mustahab dua from after you've passed Rukn Yamani is Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina azab an-nar. You can read that dua from that corner to this corner. If you don't know this, any other dua will do. Now another thing to bear in mind, inshallah, so we've all seen pictures of the Kaaba. It's a cube, yeah? And on one side you've got sort of a semicircle, white semicircle. Now, that is the limit of the Kaaba. The original Kaaba was built up to that, where the white semicircle is. That's called the Hatim. So inside of the white circle is as if you are inside the Kaaba itself. So at the Prophet ﷺ's time, the people of Makkah, they wanted to rebuild the Baytullah because it had been damaged. So, mashallah, even though they were idol worshippers and they didn't believe in Allah, and they did believe in Allah, but they believed in other idols as well, they knew that they needed to use their halal money in building this house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they didn't have enough halal money to do the structure as it should have been. So they made it as it is, and they left a mark that this is the original area of the Baytullah. So mashallah, I think this is a great blessing for you and I. And nowadays, who are the only people who get to go inside the Kaaba? The royals and their visitors and the presidents and the prime ministers. People like you and I, will never get this opportunity. But because inside the Hatim is the Kaaba, is the Baytullah, if you get an opportunity and you can go and read 2 rakats nafal salah there, then it is as if you are praying inside the Kaaba itself. So when we do our tawaf, we have to make sure we don't go inside the Hatim, we have to go around the Hatim. MashaAllah, there's always guards there, so they'll make sure you're not doing your tawaf inside, but just to bear in mind. So we do after the first 3 rounds, the brothers try and walk briskly if you can. And then after the 7, so we start from Hajar Aswad, we come back to Hajar Aswad, that's 1. So we do 7 of those. And then after that, it is wajib to read 2 rakats namaz of tawaf. That the best place to read it is behind Maqam Ibrahim. If you've seen pictures, you see there's a big golden structure, like a big oblong thing, and inside it is a rock which has got the footprints of our father Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam. So if you get a chance and you're close to it, you can have a look, you can see the footprints there. MashaAllah, it is narrating the kitab that this stone was used by Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam when he was building the Kaaba. There are no hydraulic lifts or anything there, but he would stand on there, and by the qudrat and power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it would go up and down, and him and his son Ismail Islam build the Baytullah like this. So this is called Maqam Ibrahim. Maqam literally means a place of standing. So Ibrahim Islam stood on that step, and that is preserved there. So if you can, behind that you read 2 rakats of namaz after you've performed your tawaf. Like I said, everything's busy there. At that time, there's lots of people all trying to pray the salah behind it. So if it's busy there, again, there's no need to push and shove. Just go anywhere in the masjid and you can pray your 2 rakats. So anywhere in the masjid, you can go and pray your 2 rakats. And then after that, again, time of dua, they make lots of dua. And then after that, you go to drink Zamzam. Okay, go to the place where you can drink Zamzam. Now, mashallah, due to the expansion of the masjid, you can't see the Zamzam where it is, where the well is. So they pump it out and it comes into the tanks and taps. So you can go there and drink your Zamzam. So once you drank the Zamzam, mashallah, you make your way for Sa'i, the next part of the Umrah, which is Sa'i. Now Sa'i means to try and run. So this is where you have to go to the mountain of Safa and run to mountain of Marwa. So now again, due to the expansion, the mountains have gone. They've all come inside the masjid. So can you imagine now how it was at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, that how small the Masjid of Haram must have been, that this Safa, which is now inside the masjid, was at quite a distance from the Baytullah itself. Okay? So you have to make your way to the Safa. So again, you, if possible, do istilam of Hajar Aswad. Go to directly opposite Hajar Aswad, do istilam, raise your hands and kiss your hands, and then go towards Safa. So inside, when you go there, you can still see like there's a little bit of rock there. They've kept it as a memory. There's a piece of rock there, but you can't get onto it to touch it. So you go as high as possible as you can there, face towards the Kaaba, and again, this is a place of dua. Make dua and then make the intention of Sa'i. Oh Allah, I intend to do Sa'i, 7 circuits of Sa'i, accept it from me and make it easy for me. Okay, so you start from Safa and you will travel to Marwa. So it's quite a distance. And in between you'll see there's 2 green lights. In between there's a green light place where the green light starts, and a bit further on there's a few hundred meters down there's another green light. So in between these 2 places, the brothers have to, again, if possible, walk quickly and jog. Because this is where our mother, Hazrat Sarah alayhi salam, she ran when Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam left her and Ismail alayhi salam in Makkah Mukarramah. He left them in a place where it was a desert and there was no other inhabitants, and she searched for water between these 2 mountains, And then when she came back after the 7 chakkars, 7 rounds, she saw that Zamzam had been given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this all stems from that story. So we can see this again, this sa'i was beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He loved this action of our mother so much that he made it a part of Hajj and Umrah until the Day of Judgment for all the people to come. So like Hazrat Sarah alayhi salam, the reliance and the tawakkul and the sabr she showed for Allah's commandment. It is narrated in the books that when Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam was leaving her and the young baby in Makkah Mukarramah, she started to ask him questions. Naturally, you'll ask him questions. Why are you leaving me? Why are you abandoning me? In this place where there is no shelter, there is no food, no water. But mashallah, she was a woman of great understanding. Ibrahim alayhi salam wasn't able to reply. He obviously was leaving his child behind, a child which Allah had given him after many years of dua and sabr. Can you imagine the love he had for that child? So he's abandoning them because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's order. So Hazrat Sarah alayhi salam afterwards realized, she asked the question, are you doing this because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told you so? So Ibrahim alayhi salam replied, yes, nodded his head. Then she said, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not destroy us, He will take care of us. So that also how much tawakkul and the reliance she had upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided for her with the water of Zamzam. MashaAllah, this is the only water, my brothers and sisters, that which does not go off. You can keep it for years and years in your house, in a bottle, not refrigerated, and it will still be the same. And it is the only water which does the work of drink and food as well. And as human beings, we need food and drink to survive. If we don't have food for a few days, then we will waste away. If you don't drink for a few days, we will waste away. But there's the barakah and blessings of Zamzam, that you can just survive on drinking Zamzam as well. So while we are there, inshallah, while we are in the Baytullah, while we are in Haram of Makkah, and even in Medina, we should drink as much Zamzam as we can. Every opportunity, you take our water bottles, fill it in, bring it back to our hotels, drink Zamzam, and do dua. Like you say, one of the sayings of the Tabi'in is, Hafiz ibn Hajar Asqalani rahmatullah alayhi. He is one of the greatest commentators of hadith. He wrote a commentary of Bukhari Sharif, which is in like 24 volumes. And he says that when he went for Hajj, while drinking Zamzam, he made the dua, "Oh Allah, give me the knowledge of hadith which no one else has." And because he says it is doing the blessings of Zamzam that Allah has given me this great status. So inshallah, if we are having any illnesses, if we want anything else in life, anything our worldly needs, our needs of the hereafter, whenever we drink Zamzam, make the dua and drink Zamzam, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will fulfill that. So once we've done this sa'i between Safa and Marwa 7 times, so one sa'i is from Safa to Marwa. Not like one brother did, mashallah. It is sa'i, Safa to Marwa, Marwa to Safa, that was his one. So he ended up doing 14. So we do one from Safa, one to Marwa is one. So when you get to Marwa, again, if you have the opportunity, stop, face the Kaaba, make dua, then come back to Safa. So 1, 2, 3. So if we start from Safa, we should finish in Marwa. Okay. So once we finish there, inshallah, we pray 2 rakat namaz again, anywhere it's not necessary to pray close to Marwa. Wherever we get in the masjid, we read 2 rakats, and then we've done our sa'i. So our tawaf is done for Umrah, our sa'i is done for Umrah. One more thing left is halaq, the shaving of the head or trimming of the hair. Okay. So then we have to go, we come out of the masjid, and you'll see there's many places of barber shops. MashaAllah, they're very experienced, they can take all your hair off in 30 seconds. So you go there, inshallah, you pay them, they'll clean your hair off, and then once you've shaved your hair, you're free from your ihram. Okay, then you can go and have a bath, shower, take your ihram off, wear normal clothes. One important thing to bear in mind is that a person who's shaving the head should not be in ihram themselves. Okay, so you have to make sure that sometimes brothers used to get other brothers to do their hair for them. Yeah, but as long as that person's already had their hair shaved, that's fine. If you take your clippers with you, you can do it in your hotel room. And so for the sisters as well, they will need to wait until their mahram has had their hair shaved. Then their mahram can inshallah trim the hair for them. Okay, and how much of the hair should the sisters trim? They say just you wrap the end of your hair around your finger and then just chop it from there. Okay, so it's not a chance to cut it from there, and just a little bit, 1 inch or so, just wrap it around. So the mahram of each sister will have to get their own hair shaved first, then they can go back to the hotel and they can cut their sister or mother's hair who has traveled with them. So once you've done that, mashallah, your umrah is complete. And as we will be doing Hajj Tamattu, we are free from an ihram, we can wear our normal clothes and spend the rest of our time in Makkah Mukarramah until the 8th of Zul Hijjah. Okay, so we might get a few days.
After Hajj, about another 2 days.
Up to Hajj. Yeah. So inshallah you're going to Makkah first. So until Hajj you stay there. So now inshallah we should all try our best to read our salah with Jamaat in the Masjid Haram. MashaAllah. There is no other place on earth which has more rewards than that. So every Jamaat inshallah we should go and pray there with Takbir Tahrima. If we pray with the Jamaat there, with the Imam there, then we pray namaz as normal. 4 rakat namaz, we pray 4 rakat. So inshallah we should go there and do that. And if for any unfortunate reason we miss the Jamaat or we have to pray on our own in the hotel or somewhere, then we will be classed as musafirs, as travelers. So then we do the Qasr Salah. So for Zuhr, first we'll read 2, Asr first we'll read 2, Isha first we'll read 2. Fajr and Maghrib are the same. Okay? So inshallah, but why should we deprive ourselves of these great blessings? And while we've spent thousands of pounds, we've waited many years to go there. So inshallah we should all try and go to the masjid, especially the brothers. Now, generally speaking, if you want to go and pray inside the masjid or even get inside the boundary of the masjid, you need to leave at least 40 minutes before the azan, before the namaz time, azan time. Otherwise, it gets full really quickly, and the Saudi security people as well, for security reasons, they start closing off the gates. So then you see people end up reading namaz outside in the roads. So if you have the desire to go and read inside the masjid, you should at least 40 minutes, maybe you can get away with 30 minutes for normal namazes. And on Fridays, mashallah, this is a great test. If you want to get inside the masjid, you need to go, namaz says about 12:30, you need to go about 8:30, 9 o'clock. And you go, by the time 10 o'clock, I think they close it, 9:30 they close everything off, you can't get in. So you need to make sure you go there, keep your wuzu for 3-4 hours, because the toilets are all outside the masjid. There's some places you can maybe get away with doing wudu inside the masjid, on the basement, but toilets are outside. So once you come outside, they're unlikely to let you go back in. Okay, so this is also an important thing to bear in mind, especially with sisters as well, because Jummah isn't wajib on them. They can pray Jummah in the hotels, but if they want to, you need to go and make sure that you will not need to refresh your wudu in 3 or 4 hours time. And you can see this. Some people, mashallah, will go there and stay after Fajr. Sleep there, get out, do wuzu, whatever. But Fridays is especially more busy because, so Thursday nights, Friday are busy because it's their weekend there as well. So all the local people start coming to Masjid Haram as well. So Thursday evenings and Friday until Jummah, just bear in mind, if you want to go into the masjid, you need to go a bit early, go early to get some time, because all the local people come in there, inshallah. So then until, after you've done your Umrah, you're free from Ihram, you can wear your normal clothes, you can use shampoo again, whatever you need, until the 8th of Zul Hijjah. Okay, so these are the days of Hajj, 8th, 9, 10, 11, 12, and possibly 13. So these are the days of Hajj. So whatever day they fall on, I'm going to mention the Arabic dates so we know, because it could be different days. So 8th of Zul Hijjah, so the month of Hajj starts, and then the 8th of Zul Hijjah is when the Hajj starts. Okay, so before that time, if you're in Makkah, like I said, go to do tawaf if you can. If someone wants to do a nafal umrah, then you have to go to Tan'im, Masjid Aisha, and put on your ihram again, and come back and do the tawaf and sa'i and shave your head again. Even if no head's grown, you can still pass the blade over your head. So yeah, and the same way you put on the ihram. So you wear your 2 clothes, you go to Masjid Aisha, you read 2 rakat namaz, make the intention, read the talbiyah, then you're back in the state of ihram. Okay. So, inshallah, on the 8th of Zul Hijjah, remember our days start at Maghrib, isn't it? Islamic days start from Maghrib to Maghrib. So it's not from morning to, so on the Maghrib, after the 8th of Zul Hijjah, after Maghrib, inshallah, the sunnah is that we leave from Makkah to go to Mina after Fajr Salah. Okay? But sometimes, because there's lots and lots of people to take, your muallims, the guides will tell you that you might have to go after Isha on that day. You might have to go at 12 o'clock at night on that day. You might have to go at 2 o'clock at night. So whatever time they give you, inshallah, be prepared and put in ihram And if some people want to, they can go to the Masjid Baitullah and put on the ihram from there. You wear your 2 pieces of ihram clothes. The sisters wear their ihram clothes. Go to the Masjid Baitullah, read the 2 rakat namaz, make the intention, and from there take the ihram. It's entirely up to you. So be ready, inshallah, whatever time you are given. Now this transportation is provided by the government. Okay, so it's no use shouting at Shamsubai. You said it's 10 o'clock, now it's 4 o'clock in the morning. What's happening? Or shall they shout at you? If you want, you can shout at him. But it's no use. He won't be able to do anything. I experienced this last year myself. So if they'll tell you 10 o'clock, mashallah, by the time the coach comes, it'll be 2 o'clock. Or they might say they can't get in because they've blocked the road off here. You have to walk a bit and go down there, another half a mile away. So inshallah, again, sabr, patience, follow the order. It's very important that you listen to the whatever news and information your guides give you, okay? Because that way, I think you can have a stress-free Hajj. If your guides tell you stay here, sit here, stay here, yeah. I literally saw this myself in Arafah as well. MashaAllah, the guide we went to said, look, stay here. We'll go at 2 o'clock. We'll go after everyone's gone. But some people, no, we want to get to Muzdalifah quickly. They went to the coach area and then they were sent back and then they missed the coach and this and that. So inshallah, listen to the guys. No one gets left behind. Any issues comes, there's always people to help you. If your own guys are not around, there'll be other people to help you, inshallah. So on the 8th of Zulhijjah, you need to put in your ihram again. Now this is with the ihram for Hajj. Okay, so now when we put the first ihram on, we make the intention of Umrah. This time we make the intention of Hajj. Okay, Allahumma inni uridu al-Hajj, wa Allah, I intend to do the Hajj. We're making it in mind, Allah, I'm putting on this ihram for Hajj. Accept it from me, make it easy for me, and then you recite the talbiyah. So once you read the talbiyah, then you're in the state of ihram, inshallah. So you wait until you are taken to Mina on the 8th. So on that day, it's a relaxing day. You go to Mina, if you go before Fajr, you read Fajr, Zuhur, Asr, Maghrib and Isha. So all day you spend in Mina, spending in zikr. Now Mina is, especially for the people who are going for the first time and people from the UK who are used to comfort and luxury, is eye-opening. Yeah, people are putting tents and literally you only have the space of your bed. Just the space of your bedding. And it's not a king-size mattress, you get? It's smaller than a single mattress. You're not like sofa size, that's how much space you've got. And you fold it up, you sit on there, you sleep on there, you talk on there, you might have to eat on there. Yeah, so a lot of patience required during the days of Mina, mashallah. They're literally next to each other, like cans of sardines. Yeah, that's what you remind me of, cans of sardines, jam-packed into each other.
Well, when you said Mina, should we take sleeping bags?
You can do, it's really hot. And they give blankets as well. Yeah. Inshallah, you can take it because you might need it some other places. Yeah, but the least, mashallah, good question, you remind me, when you go into Mina, take the least belongings as possible. One is less space for you to put big suitcases. And second, you're traveling, you're moving from place to place. You don't want to be carrying a 30-kilo luggage around everywhere. So just take enough for the journey, enough for your maybe spare ihram, towel, some toiletries which you can use when you're in the state of ihram, some snacks, because you'll only get food there when the food time is given. So take some snacks with you, inshallah, something which will give you energy. So dates, cereal bars, bananas, things which will give you energy, inshallah. So you're spending the 8th of Zulhijjah in Mina. Engage yourself in ibadah and worship. Again, these are places of dua. Make dua, lots of ibadah, lots of zikr, refrain from arguments, refrain from all kinds of sinful things. Inshallah, and then on the 9th of Zulhijjah, this is known as Yawm al-Arafah. This is one of the main days of Hajj. It is the main day of Hajj. Whoever doesn't go to Arafah, even for a little time, then their Hajj isn't accepted. They'll have to repeat the Hajj again the next year. So it's very important that you get to Arafah. So on the 9th of Zulhijjah, so you've spent one day already in Mina, the next day morning, inshallah, again, you'll be given times by your group leaders that coaches will be coming, and then you will get into the coach and travel to Arafah. So you have to have patience. So some people will go before you, some people will go after you. So stay with your group, stay with your family members, stay together, and they will take you to places in Arafah. Now while you're in Mina, there is a good app you can get. It's called Haramain app. You can download it now if you want. And that while you're in Mina, it gives you the GPS coordinates for your camp. Because Mina is a tent city. It's tents everywhere. Wherever you look, it's tents and tents and tents and tents. But if you get that app, inshallah, and it works on your phone, then you can get, you find your, by your tents, you'll have a number. If you find that, then if you do get lost, you can use that app and get back to your place. I think it's got other useful information as well. But wherever you go, even the hotels in Makkah, when you go, they get your hotel card. Keep that with you. Because it's very easy to get lost. So as long as you know when you need to come to someone, will bring you back. Same with Mina. If you go to Mina, make a note of your tent number, which camp you're in. If you do unfortunately get lost, no need to panic. Just go and ask some brothers who are there. You can ask the police who are there. They will guide you back there. So always take details of which tent you're in and hotel you're in all the time. Very important. So one is on the 9th, inshallah, you pray for the salah, and then you have to leave after sunrise. So you can see people going. Some people go straight after sunrise. Some people go during the daytime. Some people going even after Zohar. It doesn't matter, as long as you get to Arafah before Maghrib, you're okay. Okay. So you travel from Mina to Arafah, inshallah, and then once you get there, you'll be in your tents again. So in Mina, you've got air-conditioned tents. Now in Arafah as well, you have air-conditioned tents as well. So it's very comfortable now, mashallah. It's better than our homes. It's very, very comfortable. So you go in Arafah in your tents. Again, this is the time of dua. Engage yourself in zikr. Don't engage in worldly chit-chat. We have enough time for that afterwards. This is a special day of Arafah. The day when the Hajj dua is accepted. So we go there, inshallah, engage in ourselves. So we stay there all the time until sunset. We stay there throughout the day. So we'll be reading our Zohar and Asr there. Okay. Now, according to Hanafi, if you read namaz in your tents, then you read them at the individual times. Okay, Zohar time, Asr time. Now, if you're close enough to Masjid al-Nimira and you're able to go there and join in with the main Jamaat, then you can do Zohar and Asr combined. Okay, that's our. Like I said before, there'll be some brothers who follow a different thing. They might even in the tents, they might do Zohar and Asr together. And if they do that, that's fine because they're following their own fiqh and Masai. But we read our Asr and Zohar separate times. We're all Musafirs there, yeah. So like I said, during your journey of Hajj, because you will not be staying in any one place for more than 15 days. So even if you go Makkah before and you stay 12 days, then you're going to move to Mina. Mina, you stay a few days, you go to Arafah, Arafah to Muzdalifah, back to Mina, back to Makkah. Because you're constantly traveling, even if overall you stay more than 15 days, you're still classed as a Musafir. Because in one place, you're not staying for more than 15 days. Okay? So you class as a Musafir, yes. So if you do your own namaz, if you do your own Jamaat, and the Imam is a Musafir as well, then you'll be praying 2 rakats for Zohar and 2 rakats for Asr. Okay, inshallah. So again, there's no specific du'as for Arafah. There is one hadith in Hazrat Jabir radiallahu anhu narrates that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said on the tasbih of Arafah, he said, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika la, lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu, wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir, and qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu as-samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. And then durud, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad, kama sallayta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka hamidun majid. And then after that, wa alayna ma'ahum. So this extra bit, wa alayna ma'ahum. Inshallah, you read this 100 times in the day of Arafah. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O my angels, what is the reward of such a person who has glorified and praised me, honored me and revered me, exalted and esteemed me and sent salutations, durood upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Allah says, O angels, bear witness that I have forgiven him or her and accepted their intercession. And if he was to intercede on behalf of the people, all of the people in Arafah, I will accept their intercession. So this is one of the zikrs. MashaAllah, you can do other zikrs, and the best of zikr is the recitation of the Quran. And then also again, do lots of istighfar. This is a place where we can get our sins forgiven. And inshallah, if we are sincere in our istighfar and tawbah, then we will return sinless from the Hajj. And that is our aim, inshallah. To please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and get Hajj maqbool and mabrur. Inshallah, the day of Arafah, we have no other thing. Now you will see the other people, some people engage in other things. They say, we want to go and climb Jabal Rahmat. Now you might be close to the Jabal Rahmat is the mountain in Arafah. Jabal Rahmat is the mountain in Arafah, and it is where the repentance of our father and mother Hazrat Adam alayhi salam and Hawa alayhi salam was accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So after the shaitan tricked them in Jannah and made them go against the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent them down to the earth, and it is mentioned in the narration that Hazrat Adam alayhi salam was placed in Sri Lanka. There's a mountain there called Adam's Peak, and Hazrat Hawa alayhi salam was placed in Jeddah. So Jeddah is from the word Jadda, in Arabic means grandmother. So Hawa was our grandmother. So they searched for each other and they met in Arafah, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught them the dua, رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا وَإِن لَمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا وَتَرْحَمْنَا لَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. And they recited this, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as the blessings of this, He accepted the tawbah. So inshallah, Jabal Rahmat is a blessed place. The whole of Arafah is a blessed place. Okay? And then so staying in Arafah even for a few seconds is farz. So if someone misses staying in Arafah, then the Hajj will not be accepted. So you will see this big, great signboards, yellow signboards saying this is Arafah, this is the boundary of Arafah. It's a big area. So sometimes, unfortunately, some people go for Hajj and they become ill, they are in hospital. MashaAllah, the Saudi government has made an intizam that what they do is they put them in ambulances and they take them inside Arafah for a few seconds and then they drive them back out. So even if someone is taken there unconscious, their Hajj will be accepted because they have gone inside the limit of Arafah. So you have to make sure we don't miss staying in Arafah until sunset. So this is one of the first. So inshallah, so this was the 9th day of Zil-Hijjah, yes? So 8th we spent in Mina, 9th we traveled in the morning to Arafah, we stay there till sunset, and then after sunset we make our way to a place called Muzdalifah, okay? So I'm saying after sunset. So what do we normally do at sunset? We pray Maghrib Salah. Yes, but on that day, specifically for that day, we don't pray Maghrib Salah in Arafah. We go and pray a Maghrib Salah in Muzdalifah at the time of Isha. Now, if for some reason you stay behind so long that it looks like that the time of Isha is going to expire, then obviously you need to do your Maghrib and Isha in Arafah. Okay, but you stay there no matter what time. They will eventually, like I said, they will take you to Muzdalifah, they arrange the coach, and they have their own system. It may seem crazy to us, but they have their own system. They take everyone, mashallah, they take them from Arafah to Muzdalifah in the coaches, and you go and stay. Now in Mina you've had tents, in Arafah you have tents. In Muzdalifah, you're just staying overnight for a few hours, there is no tents. So you're literally under the stars. And Muzdalifah is a smaller place, so it is very, very, very crowded. So in one way, I think the later you arrive, the better. So in Arafah, you've got your own tent, you can sit down, relax, do namaz, get some rest. But if you go to Muzdalifah, it's the whole of all of the Hujjaj are gathering there. And everyone's chattering away, people screaming, shouting, this and that, whatever noise is going on. So if your Muallim says to you, we're going to go after 12, you say, Alhamdulillah, we got a few extra hours in Arafah. Okay? But you will get there eventually, and Muzdalifah is open there. So you go there, so maybe take with you something, a little straw mat or something, so you can sit on. And when you're in Muzdalifah, we will go there, and because we haven't prayed Maghrib yet, so whatever time we get there, we go there and we pray Maghrib and Isha together. So first the farz of Maghrib, then the farz of Isha, then you can read your sunnah of Maghrib if you want to, then the sunnahs of Isha, and then Witr Salah. Okay? So that once you're there, you read the Maghrib and Isha together, and then you prepare yourself for the next day, which is the 10th. Now the 10th is the busiest day of the Hajj. So while you're in Muzdalifah, engage yourself in the zikr, salah, tasbih, dua again. And one other important job you have to do is you have to collect the pebbles, small pebbles, not big boulders, small pebbles to throw at the jamarat, the shayateen. So you have to collect either 49, if you're going to stay in Mina for a further 3 days, the 10th, 11th and 12th, or you have to collect 70 if you're also going to stay for the 13th. So 49 is the minimum you need. Collect a few extra, put it in a little pouch, maybe take a plastic money bag or something so you can put them in there. Okay, so you small pebbles, and what size should they be? They say it should be like maybe chickpea size. So it's not too cumbersome, and it's easy enough for you to flick onto the Jamarat. So you collect the pebbles for yourself. If your family members, if you want, you can collect it for them. So that's the only thing you have to do in Muzdalifah. So you stay there, get some rest if you can, if it's possible. Collect the stones, inshallah, wait. And then, inshallah, you will leave Mina after sunrise. Okay? So you reach Fajr, and then slowly you see people start making their way out of Mina. Now, sometimes some people will come in the coach, because Muzdalifah to Mina is not that far, and some people will walk it there. Now, whatever you decide to, if you do decide to walk, tell your group leaders. Sometimes it's quicker to walk from Muzdalifah to Mina than it's to wait for the coach. So if you want to get back quickly to your tents in Mina, inshallah, tell your group leaders, and if someone knows the way, or just follow the crowd, you can get to Mina. But you make sure you tell people where you are, because there's nothing worse than the whole group getting delayed, looking for you when you're already in Mina relaxing. So you need to tell people where you're going, so that you don't give any inconvenience to other people, inshallah. So on the 10th of Hijjah, you leave. 9th of Hijjah, sorry, you leave night. You spend the night in Muzdalifah, then you make your way to Mina on the 10th. Okay, so when you get there, go to your tent, put away your belongings, and your group will be given specific times to go for Jamarat. Okay? Your groups will be given specific times to go for Jamarat, to throw pebbles at the shaitan. Now you have to walk from wherever you are to the Jamarat. So on the 10th day, it's only the big shaitan. They all look the same. It's only the big shaitan that you have to throw pebbles at. So you only need 7 pebbles for that day. Okay? So you go down the tunnel, and you do the big shaitan, and you have to do that. The mustahab time is to do it from sunrise until zawal, just before Zohar starts. That's the masnoon time. Now, if for any reason you get delayed, you can do it until Maghrib time. And you can even do it after Maghrib time, but then it's makruh. If there's any valid reason, someone's elderly, someone's sick, they can't go in the heat, or they can't go in the big crowds, or there's special dispensation for sisters as well, then you can go and do it after Maghrib as well. So usually everyone tries and does it straight away, so that's the busiest time. So if you get advice from your guys, you might be able to find a time which is less busy and go there and do it. Now it's all one-way system, so it's not you hear scary stories that Jamarat is the most dangerous place. It's not anymore. If you follow the instructions, it's all one way. You do your Jamarat and you go out the other way, mashallah. It'll be time. We've seen a football match where we have 20,000-30,000 people, how congested it gets. When there's 2-3 million people all doing the same thing, how congested it's going to be. Inshallah, it all works. It just takes a bit of time, but you get your actions done, inshallah. So when you're throwing the Jamarat, mashallah, all this time while you're in Ihram, you have to be reciting the Talbiyah, Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, Labbaik la sharika laka Labbaik, Innal hamda wal ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. When you throw the first pebble at the shaitan, then you stop reciting the Talbiyah. Okay? So now, the Jamarat is a big structure, three floors. So it depends whichever floor you go in. So they've put like a bowl around it. So your stone has to fall inside the bowl so that you can roll down and hit the Jamarat. Okay? And after you've seen YouTube videos and things like that, people throwing sandals and umbrellas. Shaitan is not encased in there. This is again in memory of Hazrat Ibrahim Islam and Hazrat Ismail Islam. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered Ibrahim Islam, mashallah, how much trials he had, we have nothing compared to the Anbiya alayhi. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said that the people who are closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah tests them the most. And so when we see someone having a difficult time, we shouldn't think, we have the opposite mentality, especially as Bengalis, and what is the other way around? The Prophet ﷺ tells us, no, the people who are closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah tests them the most. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنْفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Allah says we will definitely test people with hunger. From fear, hunger, and loss of wealth, lots of other things as well, and glad tidings for those who have patience. So the closer you are to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you more trials and tribulations to elevate your status. So inshallah we need to get out of this mindset that whenever someone is in difficulties, they are being punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Prophet Ibrahim, when he was told to sacrifice his beloved son, when children are babies, mashallah, you have fun. But when they are able to go out with you, especially for the fathers, when they hold your hand, you hold the little hand and you walk to the shops and masjid and everywhere, and there is no prouder feeling. So when Ismail reached that age, that his son was able to walk with him, answer to him, ask questions. Even our children, when they ask us the same question hundreds of times, we feel joy, not anger. So when he reached that age, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed him a dream that he has to sacrifice his son. So he was going with his son, mashallah. What a father and what a son. They both accepted the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're willing to sacrifice. And on the way, it says that the shaitan came to them 3 times. Came to Ismail and said, do you know your father's going to do this to you? Do you know? So he told his father, and then they threw pebbles at the shaitan to make him run away. So this is symbolic. The shaitan isn't there. He's not tied up by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there on the day of the 10th of Zulhijjah. So we again commemorating the actions of Ibrahim alayhi salam, showing that he fulfilled the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and was willing to sacrifice the most beloved thing to him in the whole of the earth. So inshallah we need to have that kind of willingness as well. So we go there, Jamarat, we throw it, and Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, Rahman li shaitan, Ridan li Rahman, to displease the shaitan and to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we throw the first stone, second, third, 7 stones, and then we go away, go back to our tents. Okay, so this is the first thing which we have to do on the 10th of Zulhijjah. The second is Qurbani, okay, the Dam Shukr, which is called Dam, because one favor we've had is we've been able to wear 2 ihrams, so we do that as well. For Musafirs, there's no Qurbani in the traditional sense which we say, well, you have to do is called Dam Shukr, you give that because and also if there's been any mistakes in our Hajj, inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive those because of that, any minor mistakes. So first, it's called Rami, pelting the shaitan. Second one is Qurbani, okay? And the third action on that day is we have to shave our hair again, okay? If it's grown, even if it hasn't grown, we shave or trim the hair. So these 3 things have to be done in order on that day. You have to do the pelting the shaitan first. Second is you have to do the Qurbani sacrifice. And the third, you have to shave the hair or trim the hair. Now it is, according to us, our fiqh is wajib to do it in that order. If someone doesn't do it in that order, then they have to give a dam. They have to give another animal as sacrifice, okay? So now this important issue there is Qurbani. You need to speak to your group leaders and find out what's the best way to do Qurbani. Now you can give it to the government agents there, but what they do is they start doing Qurbani from after Fajr on the 10th of Zulhijjah. If you're still in Muzdalifah or you still haven't done the Jamarat, and your Qurbani gets done before, then you've broken that order and you need to do a dam. Okay, so speak to your group leaders, see what the arrangements are for Qurbani. There are brothers there or there are organizations there who will give you a time for your Qurbani, or who will phone you after they've done their Qurbani saying, yes, we've done your Qurbani, then you can go on, shave your hair. Okay, so you do that as well. So same for the sisters, they do the Rami, then Qurbani, then they trim the hair. And then once you've done that, you're out of haram and everything is halal for you except for marital relationships. Yeah? So you can wear your own clothes, you can wear perfume, you can cover your hair, you can wear stitched clothing, whatever. So everything is halal except for relationships between husband and wife. Okay? And then another action which a lot of people try to do on that day is called the Tawaf Ziyarah. Okay? So this is another farz of Hajj. You have to do Tawaf Ziyarah. So you have to go from Mina to Makkah again. So on these days, now on this time, you will not have transport to bring you back. So even from Mina to Jamarat and then from coming to Makkah Mukarramah for doing the Tawaf Ziyarah, there's no transport provided by the government. Because one, they're not allowed to get close to Mina. You have to stay far, far away. And then you'll see the people with private cars, they become taxis and they charge exorbitant rates. Whereas 20 riyals, they'll charge you 200, 400, 500 riyals. So on these days you have to walk, there's no other way about it. So you have to walk. So what some groups do is they walk to Jamarat, do the shaitan, And then because that's sort of halfway to Makkah already, then from Jamarat they'll walk to the hotel, to Makkah Mukarramah for Tawaf Ziyarat. But again, whatever is suitable, whatever is advisable by your leaders, you'll be told to do that. Follow the instructions, inshallah, and yeah, you can walk to Makkah, do your Tawaf Ziyarat, then you're free from everything, all restrictions. You can go back to your hotel, change your clothes, have a shower, whatever, and then you have to go back to Mina to spend the night there. Okay, so that's the 10th is the busiest day. You have to go from Arafah to from Muzdalifah to Mina again, and then you have to do the pelting shaitan, just the big shaitan on that day, so you need 7, and then you have to do Qurbani, then you have to shave or trim your hair, then you have to come to Makkah to do the Tawaf Ziyarah, and then go back to Mina. So it's a very busy day. Okay? Now if someone can't do the Tawaf Ziyarah on the 10th, inshallah they can do it on the next day, or the day after as well. So if you're feeling a bit tired or anything, yes, and don't overdo yourself, take your time, do it the next day. You're halal, once you've done the halal, Qurbani and halal, you're halal except for the marital relationship, so you can do everything else, and you can do the Tawaf Ziyarah until the 12th. Okay? So then you go back to Mina after you've done your Tawaf Ziyarah, and on the 11th day, it's just staying in Mina, and on that day, the action of Hajj you need to do is go and pet all 3 jamarat, all the 3 shaitans. Okay? So you have to do it after Zawal. So like after Zuhr starts, you can't go first thing in the morning and do it. You do it after Zawal until Maghrib, that's the time. And again, if there's any excuse, you can do it after Maghrib as well. So on this day, you're doing all 3. You start from the small, as we say, small shaitan, small, middle, and the big one. So you go there, throw your 7 conquers, and turn away from the face the Qibla and do dua after you've done the small shaitan. Same again, go to the second one, throw your pebbles, turn away, face Qibla and do dua. These are places where dua is accepted. And then you go to the big one, throw your stones, and then come back. There's no dua after the big one. Okay, so you come back to Mina, spend the day there again, and then on the 12th day, so you spend 8th at Mina, 9th in Arafah, 10th in Mina, 11th in Mina, and then you have to spend another day in Mina, the 12th day. So you do the same thing you did on the 11th. You have to go and throw pebbles at the 3 shaitans again, and then you come back to your tents. Okay? So that's the 11th done. And then on the 12th day, you do that, you throw the pebbles, and then if you want to leave, you can. So once you've thrown the pebbles and the shaitan on the 12th day, you have to leave Mina. Okay? Before sunset. So if someone stays beyond sunset, then they are required to stay for another day in Mina for the 13th, and that's why you need 70 stones if you're going to stay another extra day. And then you can throwing the pebbles on the 13th and leave for Makkah. But hardly anyone stays for an extra day in Mina. And everyone leaves on the 12th. There's a man rush. So once you've done the stoning of the shaitan on the 12th of Zulhijjah, you can pack up your bags and leave Mina before sunset, and that is your Hajj complete. And then you only have the Tawaf, you've done Tawaf, then you have the Tawaf Wida left, which you can do before you leave. Okay? So once you've done the shaitan on the 12th, your Hajj is complete. You can go back to your hotels, spend some time there, make sure you don't miss any salah. Your groups may arrange some ziyarah to places you can visit, Jabal Thor, Jabal Nur, other places like that, the graveyard of Makkah, the other places there you can go and visit, inshallah. So before you leave, there's one thing which you have to do, is called Tawaf al-Wida, farewell Tawaf. So you go and do that Tawaf, you pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you are leaving the holy city of Makkah, pray for yourselves, ask for whatever you need, pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings you back. Okay? So Tawaf al-Wida, it doesn't have to be literally the last thing. Some people think that once you've done the Tawaf al-Wida, you can't go back into the masjid. No. It doesn't have to be literally the last thing. You can do your Tawaf al-Wida, and because you might go, because again, you'll be given approximate times of when you're going to leave. You might leave in the middle of the night. So you might want to do your Tawaf al-Wida before Isha. So you can go for Isha and do your Salah there as well. So after you've done your Tawaf al-Wida, you can carry on going to the masjid for Salah, spend your time there, and then you go to Medina Munawwar, inshallah. So that is your Hajj complete. Very brief overview, inshallah. Like I said, you'll have very experienced scholars and guides with you. If you have any questions, always ask them. It's better to ask and do your deeds rather than do it in incorrect manner, whereby you either have to give a dam or you lose the reward of your Hajj, inshallah. If you have people with you, ask them, inshallah, and and do it step by step. So after, inshallah, after the Hajj is complete, you will be going to Medina Munawwara, the city of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this isn't part of Hajj. So if someone doesn't go to Medina, just goes to Makkah Mukarramah, does the rites of Hajj, and then comes back home, the Hajj will be done. It's not part of Hajj going to Medina Munawwara. But alhamdulillah, if we have the opportunity, we may never go again. We should make the best of this opportunity and make intention to visit the blessed road of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned that Inna Ibrahim kana harrama Makkah wa da'ala. Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam made the Makkah place of sanctity and haram, and he made dua for it. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, similarly, I made Medina Munawwara a haram, a place of sanctuary, a sanctity, and I also prayed for it. I prayed for its mud and size, measures and weights, like the Ibrahim Islam did. So Medina is a very blessed place. Many reasons. We all know the blessings and barakah. And the least of all is that our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his blessed roda, his grave is there in Medina Munawwara. He said that the best place on earth, the scholar said that the best place on earth is not the Kaaba. The best place on earth is the place where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is buried. So inshallah, we go to Medina Munawwara. Again, it is quite a distance, 300 kilometers or more. So it takes a bit of time to travel there. When you go to Medina Munawwara, we go with the intention of visiting the road of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Recite Durood Sharif as much as we can. Send durood on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Try and inculcate in ourselves an eagerness to visit the road of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said in the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when a person goes and presents their salam in front of the road of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam replies to them. We can't hear it, but he replies to them. So everywhere else we read durood, we say sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala conveys it to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam through the angels. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala conveys it. But if you're standing in front of the road of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then he will replies to the durood ourselves. So inshallah, we should try and lots of durood. We should try and bear in mind the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, those things which will make him happy. Now inshallah, one of the greatest sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the sunnah which is a 24-hour reward for the brothers, is the beard. Inshallah, so those brothers who haven't got, inshallah, make the intention, I will fulfill this sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What easy way to get reward, my brothers? You're sleeping, you get reward. You keep the intention, you keep the beard with intention. It's not a fashion statement, or it's not to follow this pop star or this football man or anything like that. This beard is the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Inshallah, you're sleeping, you're walking, whatever. 24 hours you can get reward, isn't it? Innamal a'malu binniyat. Our religion is very beautiful. All actions depend on our intention. Everything. This is the beauty of Islam, my brothers and sisters. Every single thing can become a reward. All our life can become ibadah and worship of Allah, but in what manner? Only when it's done according to the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and with the right intention. We go out to earn a living. We make the intention, this is an order of Allah. He has ordered us that we need to make an effort to earn a living, to provide for ourselves, provide for our children, so that we can earn a livelihood and help the community where we can. This will become, we spend 8 hours, 37, 40 hours a week working. Inshallah, all of that can be rewarding. Like I said, on average, a person spends 8 hours sleeping. 1/3 of our life is spent sleeping. So if we do this in the sunnah manner, inshallah, we've spent 1/3 of our life in ibadah and worship of Allah. Eating can be ibadah, drinking can be ibadah, going shopping, which we all love, can be ibadah if we do it for the right reasons and with the intention that we need to buy clothes for our family, for our children, food for our family and children. Everything can be ibadah, inshallah. So we go to Medina Munawwara to visit the road of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We go with lots of durood on our lips, with the heartfelt desire that we want to visit the road of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We present ourselves in front of the Prophet ﷺ in appearance and in a manner which is pleasing to him. So now inshallah the brothers, mashallah, they can go and present their salams throughout the day, and for the sisters they have specific times. And when you go there you'll be able to find out. Another thing, in Makkah Mukarramah, mashallah, we pray around the Kaaba, so the sisters go in as well, and they have their own separate places as well, which will be on one side or allocated places. With Medina Munawwara, the places for the sisters to offer the salah is at the back end of the masjid. It's a big area, so sisters are separate from the brothers, and they have the separate times, 2 or 3 times a day, they have to present the salawat in the rows of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we go to Makkah, Medina Munawwara, inshallah, on the way to there, inshallah, we recite the Durood Sharif, we can listen to the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ from the scholars who are with us to pass the time, to make us eager to go to Medina Munawwara. And then inshallah we go there, we go to our hotels, we prepare ourselves, if we're tired, have a rest, take ghusl, wear fresh clothes if possible, and then go to Masjid al-Nabawi. Try and enter through Bab Jibreel if we can, and then we go around to the front of the. So once you enter Medina Munawwara, you can see it's a huge masjid. When I went last year, mashallah, one of the local brothers told me that the boundary that is now, the boundary of the Masjid Nabawi, the Masjid itself, then you have the courtyard, then you have the boundary wall, which on one side is all the way to Jannatul Baqi. So that was the size of the whole of Medina at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So that was the size of the whole of Medina, and everything outside that was outside Medina. So you can see how big the masjid has become again. So inshallah we go to Masjid al-Nabawi, and inside the masjid they will see a little bit at the front there is a green carpet. So this is known as Riyadul Jannah. This is the place with Prophet ﷺ. This place is equivalent to Jannah. So this everyone fights to pray there. Again, they have a system. If you have sabr, you can go, you can wait. No need to push and shove. Go there and pray there if you get the opportunity to rakat salah. So when you go to give salah, you go from to the front of the rows of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We've seen pictures of the grill, and there's a big circle thing. Yeah? So that's if you stand directly there, you're standing opposite the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you stand there in humility. Now they don't let you stand there for long. The guards are there because there's lots of people that try and push you along. Yeah? They encourage you to go along. So stand there briefly, as long as you can. If they ask you to move along, move along. Some people get angry. Some brothers say, don't touch me, who are you to shove me? Yes, they're doing that because they need to get people going. So you stand there, read the Durood Salam in a soft manner, no need to shout and scream. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through His might and mercy, conveys everyone's salam to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he replies to them. And so we go there and we present our salam. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Rasulullah. That's the very basic one. You can read other things as well. So say salam from yourself. Say salam from your parents, family members, friends, everyone who has requested you. Inshallah, if you can remember the names, present their salams and ask for the shifa'at, the intercession of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the Day of Judgment. Ask the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to pray for you. Because if the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam makes dua, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept that. So we give our salat and salam to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You can do that from anywhere in the masjid. So if it's busy in front of the masjid, mashallah, you can go outside, stand in front of the green dome and present your salam. No one will disturb you. You have more time and peace, and you can give your salat and salam there. So from yourself, from people who have requested you to do so, inshallah, present it from myself as well. And pray for everyone, all the Ummah, and ask for the Subhana of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then you walk up slowly, inshallah. So that is your ziyarah done. Okay, so every day, inshallah, we spend in Medina. There's one hadith which says that if a person prays 40 times salah in Masjid al-Nabawi with the takbir ula, takbir tahrima, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them, they will get 3 rewards. Okay? Anyway, inshallah, one is that they will get a certificate that they are free from hypocrisy. Second, that they will be free from the fire of Jahannam. And the third is get the reward of Jannah, inshallah. So we should try, if we get this opportunity, to inshallah pray in the Masjid al-Nabawi. So again, like Masjid al-Haram, inshallah, we need to go a bit early. Inshallah, if you go a bit early, there is not that much crowds as you have in Makkah Mukarramah. Because some people will have gone to Medina before Hajj. And in Medina, they're constantly changing. People come, stay for 8 days or 5 days, and they move on. In Makkah, everyone's coming there, waiting for the day of Hajj. It gets bigger and bigger, the crowds get bigger and bigger. Inshallah. So, inshallah, we spend as much time as we can in Masjid al-Nabawi. And again, there are special places there to see, inshallah. Inside the Masjid al-Nabawi, just behind, so we'll see some old buildings. So where the Prophet ﷺ is buried, behind his Roda is the house of Hazrat Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha. So that is her house as well. So we can go there, spend our time as much as we can inside Medina Munawwara, inshallah. And again, there will be ziyarah, places for ziyarah to go to. There will be Masjid al-Quba, the first masjid built by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Masjid al-Qiblatain, where the masjid which has got 2 Qibla directions, where the order for Qibla change came. There's the Shuhada of Uhud. You can go and visit there. Inshallah, we're going to visit all these things, inshallah, to increase our iman. All these years and, many years we've read about this. This is where Hazrat Hamza was martyred. This is where the Battle of Badr took place. This is Uhud. This is Medina. This is this, this, that. Inshallah, we can go and see that with our own eyes, and it will increase our iman, inshallah. So inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of you going to Hajj. Inshallah, give you the reward of Hajj Mabrur and Maqbool, inshallah. This was a quick overview of Hajj and Ziyarah of Medina Munawwara. So like I said, you've got scholars going with you, inshallah. Ask them any questions you need. And people ask, what guide should we take with us? I would advise take a very simple and brief guide. Don't take a big book, encyclopedia. Yeah? You won't have time to read it, and you won't have time to take everything in as well. So take one which has just got the basics, because that's what you need. You need to make sure you do the basics right, so your Hajj is done completely. And one of the best ones I've seen is the one produced by the Sheikh Salim Doratsa, Islamic Dawah Academy. Oh, mashallah, he's very well prepared. He's going to give you copies of that. It's a very small booklet. It's got everything, all the main things in bullet points, and that's what you need to make sure you do. And you don't need, if you start, mashallah, now's the time for you to study the big books if you want to. But when you go there, you want something brief and concise with you, because you'll be moving on one place to another, one place to another. And you don't want to be, like I said, flicking through books and trying to take in, learn this dua, learn that dua, learn this, learn that. Just do the basics, inshallah, of your Hajj, so nothing is missed, all the wajibats are covered, all the faraids are covered, and inshallah you'll be fine. And inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like I said, accept everyone's going there. Please remember me and everyone else in your du'as as well.